Okay, good morning, everybody. It is uh, Wednesday, September 24th, 2025 at 9:07 a.m. With the quorum present, I will call to order the Freetown Board of Selectmen meeting. This meeting is on Zoom. This meeting also is in person at the town hall. We will be recording this meeting and it will be available on our town's YouTube page. Today we have just two agenda items. We have an interview with potential library director finalist Nicole Kelleher. And then agenda item 2 is discussion and vote on which selectman will finalize the details for this job, the library director. So Nicole, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
I
you for having
know,
me.
yep, I know that there's already been a few interview kind of steps here. So congratulations on getting to this part. So shall we just jump into it? Or is there anything else, Luann, I'm missing here?
Thank you. Good.
Okay, well, Nicole, I would say I prepared my questions before I saw your resume, and then I read your resume, and a lot of my questions were kind of answered. So that is a great thing. So I guess want to just for the public record, do you want to just speak a little bit to your background and why you think that you're a good fit for this position?
So I started off in libraries about 10 or 12 years ago as a library assistant. I got that job through community work. So I was doing the East Bridgewater Arts Council and I was doing a lot of work with the library and other town offices, and the library director at the time offered me a position as a circ assistant. And I was like, I have no experience in libraries. And he's like, I can teach you. So from there, I took that position and I really found my niche. And then I wanted to kind of excel a little more. And there's not a lot of full-time opportunities in East Bridgewater. So I moved over to Taunton as the assistant circ manager. I was there about 6 months. That was a little bit of a different community than I was used to. From there, I went to Marshfield, where I was the circulation manager for 4 years. I had a staff of 6 and 10 substitute librarians. So if anyone was on vacation or I was sick, I could call in a sub to cover the desk. I also created the homebound delivery program for community members that couldn't get to the library. And I also isolated a problem that was going on with the Council on Aging bus not bringing residents to the library. So I started bringing the library to the Council on Aging. So every other week I would go set up a table at the Council on Aging and kind of, give out books, library cards, just talk to the patrons that were there. Then I wanted to try academic library, so I moved over to Bridgewater State University, and that was in January of 2020. So I'm sure you know where this story is going to go. So about 6 weeks later, everything shut down, but the library remained open. But with my background in circulation, I was able to help the dean at the library at the time keep the library desk open. So I was one of, I think, 5 people who worked throughout the whole pandemic, 15 months in the building. And I really got to see at that time, like, who needed the services the most. It kind of fit into like systemic barriers and all of these things, because the students coming in were students that had no electricity or had no access to internet, any of those things. So it really gave me like a boots on the ground type of training. After that, the dust settled from the pandemic. We got a new dean, and he offered me the position of administrative coordinator for the whole library. And the Maxwell Library is very large. It's 4 floors. We're open 96 hours. So basically, a lot of what I did was budgets, scheduling, onboarding, all of those things. And we didn't have a lot of the systems already in place. The woman who had the job prior to me was just a clerk. So due to union constraints, she was only allowed to do certain things. When the position was rewritten, I was able to kind of create a lot of the systems they're using, which was a centralized schedule, all the budget. I took on the whole budget, not just the office supplies. So that was 1.3 million, with 800,000 of that just being databases split across 2 fiscal years. So that was a lot of experience I got from that. And then I kind of transferred over to childhood studies a few months ago and been helping out in kind of both areas. So I'm getting a master's right now in higher ed administration. So working in the academic department kind of helped me kind of understand systems outside of libraries in higher ed. But then I saw this position and I thought, I really do miss the community sense that you get from a public library. I don't get that right now in the college. Students are great, but they don't want anything to do with you. They don't want to talk to you. They just want what they want and they want to move on with their day. I could be anybody. So I really missed, chatting with patrons and chatting with people in the community and understanding what's going on. So when I saw this position kind of opened up, I realized this would be a good fit for me as far as like getting back into
We've got some construction going on, sorry.
to get back into community work, but also take the administrative part that I actually found out that I am really good at and that I really enjoy and add it all together. So that's how I ended up here.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So obviously a big part of this job, it is the library itself, but then it's also, attending the board of trustees meetings and sometimes board of select meetings and town meeting. Is that going to be any issue for you?
No, I mean, I was chair of the East Bridgewater Arts Council for 6 years on and off. So I had to attend a lot of select meetings. I had to attend town meeting. I had to, go to different town offices and ask, what are you looking for? Do you need funding? I planned a district-wide art show in that time. And I also planned like a Celebrating the Arts Gala. So I'm pretty good at maneuvering municipalities in that sense, knowing what I need to do to get things done.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. So one of my concerns, or not concerns, but just, was preparing a budget, but you seem to cover that. So that's great. That's also an important part of the role. And then, one concern I always have, but I think right off the bat, I kind of don't have it, but is the public speaking part of this. One of the important roles is that, during town meeting where we have an auditorium full of people, you have to go and advocate for yourself and why you need funding from the voters. And so, does that concern you at all, or do you have any issues with kind of getting up and speaking for why the town should fund your initiatives?
Entirely. I mean, I think public speaking always gives everyone a little bit of nerves, but I think I always do my research before I speak on anything. So usually, if I'm prepared, I have no problem making my arguments. I'm one of those people who uses context to kind of make all of my decisions. So when I come to something and I'm asking to make a decision or asking for something, I will have like past, present, and all of that with me, like why I need this, like what have we learned from what didn't work and what did work and why we need this now. So I'm very research based.
Perfect. And just to be, fully transparent, which I'm sure this has come up in your other conversations, but the situation at our libraries is not ideal right now, right? So, I just want to make sure that, there's no shock, if we move forward with this, that you understand the current situation. You also understand that we are doing our best right now to try to build a library in the future, potentially library/COA building, which will have its own kind of complexities, right? Of a dual purpose building. Just want to make sure, being 100% transparent and you're prepared for those kind of that situation that is coming.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the other, did I mention grants yet? Because that also, as you know, working in municipalities, the grant side of it is important. We have right now a situation where, since we're out of compliance with the MBTA, I forget the name of it right now, but so we're actually having issues getting grants in general, but we still want to try and get grants where we can, whether at the state or federal level. So you mentioned you do have experience writing grants and maintaining grants.
Yes, through the Arts Council.
Okay, awesome. One thing that I Googled you, obviously, and I did see that that the Holmes Public Library in Halifax, they offered you a position.
Yes.
So you obviously did well there, and it appears you didn't take that position. I mean,
Yes.
just so we know, I think this is good for the board to know. Like, why did you decide to not go forward with that position?
Yep. So I accepted the position initially, and then I was invited to a board of trustees meeting where it was made clear to me that they were not completely upfront about the state of their budget, about the state of their staffing. I was told when I was hired that the staff was unionized. Come to find out, that was not the case. The staff had withdrawn from the union after their hours had been cut. So I kind of put some pieces together about maybe what had happened and why they had withdrawn from the union. without getting into too much detail, I just did not think that, I think what they wanted me to do was to flip the staff. And I did not feel comfortable doing that. I think there was a lot of personnel issues and a lot of mistrust between the trustees and the staff. And as someone coming into a situation like that, you know, you come in and you don't want to start just changing things overnight. You want to watch and get a kind of the lay of the land and understanding things. And I felt that if I didn't move quick enough on the initiatives of the trustees, then they were going to be very unhappy with me, or I would have to do the opposite and I'd have to move quickly on the initiatives of the trustees, and then the staff was not going to like me. And I know maybe it's sitting here saying, well, they're not going to like me, sounds a bit childish, but I think that you want to have a positive work environment. I've worked in a very toxic environment, and I did not want to, work in that type of environment, or did I want to help create that type of environment? So I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life, because I felt like I worked very hard for that position, and that was to withdraw.
Yep.
You know, and there was a couple other things that I will not get into that happened after that. But that was why the decision had been made.
All right, perfect. That's totally fair, and that makes sense to me. So let me think. What else have my notes here? Yeah, I mean, I think you've covered all of my questions. I think your resume speaks for itself. Actually, one follow-up question. So, do you like long-term plan? Do you plan on sticking in a position like this for a extended period of time, or is this do you see this as something as a growth potential to move on? And that just so we know where we stand, right? And where your long-term vision is. And you can be honest, because I think it's a totally fair answer to say that, yeah, I want to do this for 5 years and I want to move on. And I think that, in my opinion, that's totally fine. But I think it's just good for us to think about the future in the long term.
Yep. So I think that the library director is my long-term plan. That is where I want, that is the career I want to retire from, whether it be in Freetown or, I'm currently getting my master's in higher administration. I've kind of toyed back and forth a little bit, when finance is allowed to get the master's in library science. So, if I had that, maybe I would go to a bigger library, if you would. But I don't really see that happening in the next 5 years or so. I have two kids about to go into college, so me paying for another master's is probably like, I think my husband would like, are you crazy?
Need a break, right?
Yeah. So, I've been fortunate at Bridgewater State that my education has been free, and even with leaving BSU, it's still very affordable. Whereas a master's in library science is not as affordable. So I don't foresee that being anything that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of years. So this is kind of I told the trustees, this is kind of the steeple. Like, we've kind of hit the end game of like where I wanted to land. I've kind of taken the long way around, but this is kind of where I want to land. So
That's great. And I think that this, if I was in your shoes, I think this does present a great opportunity, just with us building a new library in the future, and you be able to kind of shape and be very involved in that process. I think that kind of there's just a great opportunity there that really, I think you have a really big impact on our town. So I think that's exciting. And then just the next step after this would be negotiating contracts and going forward. Just is there any kind of non-starters on that side of it that we should be aware of?
So I have kind of two, I wouldn't say issues because I don't like that word, but there's two areas where I would want to discuss. One is the vacation time. I've been, I was fortunate enough that when I went to Bridgewater State University, they took all of my years of service from East Bridgewater through. So I started there already 6 years in. I'm now vested. I have, over 10 years in the Massachusetts retirement system, which has afforded me 4 weeks vacation. I would not feel comfortable taking less than 3.
Okay.
Just because that's, I worked all these years to get to that point. So that is one area is the vacation time. The sick time was fine. I don't know if it was personal days. I didn't see anything about that, but Bridgewater, I have 4 weeks vacation plus 5 personal days, so I'm willing to go down to 3 weeks vacation time. And then the other issue I had was, which I talked to the trustees about a little bit, and Paul kind of eased any anxiety I had about this, was I don't really like the idea of anyone being alone in a building like that, especially after hours. I don't feel comfortable. I think we're living in a new world, especially in this political climate, where, I know this is a safe town. I kind of looked that up too. I know the crime rate's very low, but libraries, in my experience, kind of breed, it's a public space, so anyone can come in. You can't tell anyone to leave, and it's kind of open to the public. So I wouldn't want to put myself or any staff in a position where they're alone and they're uncomfortable. I know there's panic buttons and cameras, but that only goes so far. So this is something that I did advocate for at Bridgewater State University, because believe it or not, in a building that size, on Saturdays it was only 1 person in some evenings, and I advocated very strongly to get that bylaw changed. There has to be 2 staff members, otherwise we close. So that is kind of how I feel about that.
Okay, those are both of them seem reasonable to me. I'm not sure if anyone from the library board of trustees has any kind of input on that second point there. Is that a problem we can solve?
Yeah, we talked about this with Nicole, that scheduling would be within her purview and working with the trustees. So that there may be times where that might not be ideal, or people will be on vacation because we only have a 3-person staff. But for the most part, there'll be a lot of flexibility for her to work with her team for everybody's comfort. And the team may have different feelings, but I think we'll be able to really be successful at navigating that and finding everyone's comfort zone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is it makes sense to me. And I'm sure we can work something out, right? It's within our budget. So okay, thank you very
And
much.
we
I
are
appreciate it.
already, I can also say too, that we're already open more than we're required by our state mandates and regulations. So we can always make shifts to make sure that the public needs are met, but the staff comfort level is there, and that everybody's really just doing the best they can. I think we'll figure it out together. And also, hopefully someday there'll be a larger structure with, COA and library. So we'll be able to have different kinds of collaborations.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. All right. Does anyone else on the board here have any additional questions?
Just a couple. Nicole, thanks for being here. I know it's a different model interview, Zoom and in person, so in our rainy day. So thank you for being here. I just want to clarify, just make you aware that the position that you're here for is a by-law position, non-union. So I wasn't sure if you were aware of that.
Non-union, I understood that.
Perfect.
Yes.
As far as start time, I know you're probably going to want a few weeks, if not longer, for your current position. Is that something that you need more, or?
So I would like to give 2 weeks, but I'm also in a very demanding finance class that ends the 23rd of October, but I can have all my work done by the 17th. I'm working ahead of schedule, so anytime.
Okay, so the 17th of October or beyond.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Our current director, she's moving down south, and training's big here in Freetown, especially in this department. Is there any way we could squeeze you in from time to time, maybe before she leaves to cross train?
I do have a lot of vacation time accrued, so I can
I'm
certainly.
sorry to take vacation time.
It's okay. I can certainly take a couple of days off to come in and shadow her.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, everything else you answered, you asked Selectman Matthews, so thank you for that, and you did a great job answering. Thank you. That's all I have. Yield my time back to you.
Hi, Nicole. I just got a couple of quick, brief, easy ones for you, I promise. Thank you, first of all, for being here. Thank you for your honesty with those questions. I feel like you did a great job of answering them and, getting straight to the point. So I do appreciate that. One of the things that you brought up was working in the past and dealing with COA, right? And kind of combining the two together. And I love that idea because, as you just heard, and I'm sure you've already heard before this, that, we're really working towards building a joint building where COA and library come together. And I love doing anything we can to work on that collaboration now. They do work well together, but is that something that you would also be flexible towards, as, going to the COA on certain days and, you know, speaking with the senior citizens who are there who might not have as easy of a time getting around and, you know, maybe delivering them books or talking to them about different things and programs, because I feel like with the people we have in place now, we are getting better and better at really bringing a lot of programs to light that this town is finally offering. And I think as a board, we're all very proud of what they've done, and I want to see it only grow. So I'm assuming that really won't be too much of an issue for you based on your experience, what you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important. And like I said, I was able to very quickly see the problem that existed in Marshfield just from listening to the patrons who were coming in or calling and just saying like, I'm not homebound. I go to the COA, and then me understanding, oh, okay, they're getting to the COA, but one of the stops was not the library. You know, so they didn't want to go on that homebound list because maybe they felt like it was negative or something. There was some reason why they felt like they were more able to move around. So I think it's really important to kind of listen and understand what the needs are. You know, that didn't happen overnight. It took a little bit for me to understand what exactly was going on. But yes, I completely agree. And I would love to, you know, kind of start the same thing here where I'm bringing the library to the COA until the library is with the COA. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. You know, like I said, the sky's the limit, and
Yes.
I feel like bringing your experience from other places will only help. So I look forward to, you know, moving forward and hopefully making this all work out and seeing what you do.
Thank you.
I thank you.
All right, thank you, Selectman Zager. So, I think that concludes the interview part of the agenda. So if we move on now, and thank you very much, Nicole, please stick around. The next agenda item here is discuss and vote on which selectmen to finalize the details with the library director. And Luann, on this meeting, do we have to formally vote on extending an offer, or shall that come after?
I think it would come after the negotiation of it
Yeah.
expeditiously, because we do have a meeting on the 29th, but it sounds like we have the 29th and the 6th to take care of those things based on your availability.
Okay, sounds good. So I guess Jared and Carlos, any input here on who would like to move forward with these negotiations?
I think at this point, I think I've had the most contact with both the trustees and Debbie. I would be okay with taking it over if that's okay with the board.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Your personnel, so it really is, you know, makes the most sense.
Yep, that makes sense to me as well. And then I mean, you guys are both there in person now. I think we'd like to move on this as quickly as possible to, you know, first of all, to obviously, you know, if Nicole accepts the offer, to get her in as fast, and if she doesn't, so we can move on and try to find another candidate. So I think so do we think that a reasonable timeline is to have something ready for Monday's meeting?
That's the goal. That's
Okay.
after this meeting, I'll sit down with Nicole and Luann, and we'll discuss next steps from there.
Okay, great. And then I guess I'm just gonna I'll entertain a motion to have Selectman Lopes finalize the details with the library director.
Motion made.
Do I have a second?
You can second it. Trevor.
It's about Carlos, so do you want to second it?
All right, so I'll second it. My bad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Zager,
Yes.
Selectman Matthews.
Yes.
Selectman-
And then before we close, is there anything that the board, library board of trustees wants to add?
Nope, all settled with me.
All right, great. Thank you. Speak now or forever. All right. Once again, Nicole, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Anything, Luann, I need to do before we close?
Nope, just adjourn.
Okay. All right. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All
Have a
right,
great
have a great day.
Have a good day,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Hey, everybody,
Bye.
enjoy the rain.
Stay dry.